And I paid a fine of $5,000, and I retired from the United States military. Let me tell you something. When I have a responsibility for the lives of 600 soldiers under my care, I'm going to do what is necessary without hurting anyone else severely to make sure that my men come back to their husband, to their wives, to their children.
Alan West walks into Boston University. The room is not on his side. Two students come at him with prepared quotes, historical documents, and a list of his own tweets. He doesn't blink. He names the memo, he names the treaty, he names the date. Watch the questions get longer and the answers get sharper. Watch a hostile crowd applaud a question, and watch West answer it anyway. This is what happens when a man refuses to pretend. Let's get into it.
My name is Ibrahim Rashid. I'm a Pakistani-American Muslim. I just want to tell you just a little bit about myself before I ask you a question. So, I study international relations over here at Boston University. I've staffed elections, worked on elections, worked in campaigns, worked in courts, worked with Homeland Security on countering violent extremism initiatives. So, I'm a patriotic American who wants to go into public service to serve this country. Now, once you know that about myself, I just want to bring up something that you've said in the past that I was hoping to ask you a little bit about. So let me just pull it up. Any previous campaign event that you've had, let me just pull this up right here. You once said, and I will quote, "We already have a fifth column that is already infiltrating into our colleges, into our universities, into our high schools, into our religious aspect, our cultural aspect, our financial, our political systems in this country. And that enemy represents something called," and I quote you, "Islam. And Islam is a totalitarian, theocratic political ideology. It is not a religion. It has not been a religion since 622 AD. And we need to have individuals that stand up and say that."
Ibrahim Rashid opens with a resume. International relations at Boston University. Elections, campaigns, Homeland Security. Then comes the ambush. He reads West's fifth column quote back to him, word for word, off his phone. It's a prosecutor's move. Load the quote, let the room gasp, then ask the question. But West has heard this script before. Watch him take the floor back before the trap closes.
Say that.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever...
I definitely have a question.
You're not asking a question. You're just reading a statement. Now,
sir,
I'm going to ask you... No, I'm going to... No, sir, because I know what you're trying to say. All due respect to you, too. Have you ever read the strategic memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood that was written in 1991 by Muhammad Akram that was found in an FBI raid in 2004 in the basement of a house in Northern Virginia?
Yes, I have. And if you were the Constitution of Medina... The Constitution of the Medina was the last document that Prophet Muhammad put out before he passed away. And
did you ever read the Treaty of Hudaybiyah?
No, but, sir...
I mean, we can go back and forth on historical documents.
Sir, with all due respect, sir, I haven't even asked my question.
I know, that's why I'm waiting on it.
So let me ask you the question. So, you've called Islam a theocratic political ideology.
Okay.
So my first question...
So what is Iran?
So my first question is, how do you define a religion? And from there on, what makes Islam not a religion in your eyes? And then from there on, are you suggesting that American Muslims, such as myself, are not worthy of religious protections and religious rights as enshrined in our Constitution?
There it is. Rashid says he's read the 1991 memorandum. West immediately names the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. Notice who is bringing receipts. Then West drops 4 words that hang over the rest of this exchange. So, what is Iran? And Rashid's answer is to accuse him of stripping American Muslims of constitutional rights. West never said that. He said it about an ideology. Keep that distinction in mind because it decides everything that follows.
I did not say that.
So explain, how do you define a religion?
As a matter of fact, I left my house plenty of times to go over and fight in Kuwait and in Afghanistan and Iraq for the ability for an individual to have freedom. But if you want me to sit here and deny history, if you want me to sit here and act like some things have never happened, I'm not going to do that. I do not have the onus to, make a statement about what is fact. Okay, we can go back and we can read the Quran, we can read the Hadith, we can read the Sunnah, we can compare it up with history, and we can see that there was a definite departure from a basic religious belief in 622 AD, and you can see the verses, how they changed. And I understand Islamic jurisprudence, and I understand the Arabic term nakish, which means subsequent verses of the Quran supersede the previous verses, but they're all still the verses of Allah as given down to Muhammad. So what I'm trying to tell you is when I look at the Islamic Republic of Iran, when I look at Saudi Arabia, and how interesting it is that Saudi Arabia was just put on the Commission for Women's Rights when they have the greatest violation of women's rights whatsoever. I have a problem with that, having two daughters.
He was asked to define a religion. He answers with Kuwait, Afghanistan, and Iraq, then abrogation, then the Islamic Republic of Iran, then Saudi Arabia sitting on the United Nations Commission on Women's Rights. Is it a dodge? Partly. But look at what he refuses to do. He will not say the words the room wants him to say, and that Saudi women's rights seat is real, and nobody in that hall wants to defend it.
So I will tell you this, I'm happy to work with you, but I think we need to come to an understanding that there is a problem. And if you want to continue on, as we just saw current administration, last administration do, with obfuscation, denial, and dismissal. I think one of the worst things that President Obama did was when he stood up there in August of 2014 and said, let me make myself very clear, ISIS is not Islamic. Well, I don't know what the I stands for. It's not Southern Baptist, it's not Mennonite, it's not Presbyterian. So you have to take the enemy for who they are and what they say they are doing, especially when the leader of the caliphate of ISIS has a PhD in Islamic studies. So I'm going to listen to him and I'm going to take him for who he is. But I will tell you.
And there's the line the whole room will be quoting tomorrow. ISIS is not Islamic. West doesn't argue with the theology, he just asks what the I stands for. Not Southern Baptist, not Mennonite, not Presbyterian. Then the kicker. The leader of the caliphate holds a PhD in Islamic studies. You can call that unfair. You cannot call it inaccurate. Rashid has no answer for it, and he doesn't try.
That I thank you for standing up and doing what is necessary, just the same as I thanked those interpreters and translators that stood there with me fighting in Iraq and fighting in Afghanistan. But if there's to be a change in the Muslim world, if you want to call it that way, we need the young people to stand up. And the sad thing that we have not done in the United States of America, we have not stood up with you, just the same as the Green Movement in Iran, just the same as we misread the Arab Spring, just the same as we stood next with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. We have made some very bad decisions.
Watch what he just did. He thanked the man attacking him. He compared Rashid to the interpreters who walked patrols with him in Iraq and Afghanistan. Then he turned the blame around. Not on Muslims, on Washington. The Green Movement got no support. The Arab Spring got misread. And America shook hands with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. That's a critique of American policy, delivered to a room that came to hear a bigot. It didn't land the way they planned.
And I would,
with all due respect, sir, you have not answered my question. What defines a religion and why is Islam not a religion? Because in your words, Islam is not a theocratic idea.
Since
that was a very
622
nice talking
AD,
point
since
you've given me,
622
sir.
AD, it has not reflected itself as being a religion, but yet it can still call itself a religion. That's the whole purpose of, like I said, the theory of abrogation. But we have got to understand that there is something that is happening that we need to work together to dismiss. And when I see the Organization of Islamic Cooperation that does not understand that there is a problem with Islamic jihadism, when I see an organization like the Council for American Islamic Relations that are, doing things to shut down free speech and shut down people that want to talk about this jihadist problem, then I see them more a part of the problem than a part of the solution.
He finally answers the question, and the answer is the same as the quote. 622 AD. Abrogation. Then he names names. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Council on American Islamic Relations, which he accuses of shutting down anyone who wants to talk about jihadism, agree or disagree. That's a specific claim about specific organizations. Rashid asked for a definition and got a target list. Now watch him change the subject entirely.
Do you believe that Muslims are not condemning terrorism when they're the largest victims of jihadism and terrorism?
Well, I tell you something, if they were condemning terrorism, we probably wouldn't have as much terrorism. Okay? But I will tell you this. I will blame President Obama for not supporting the president of Jordan, King Abdullah, who, when he was here visiting this country, at the time when that pilot was burned, he got on a plane, went back, and started bombing ISIS. You know why he had to stop bombing ISIS? Because the Obama administration stopped supplying fuel for the jets and weapon systems.
Rashid asks whether Muslims condemn terrorism. West gives him a blunt answer, then pivots to King Abdullah of Jordan. The pilot burned alive, the jets that went up, and the fuel that Washington allegedly stopped supplying. That's West's whole thesis in one story. The people fighting jihadists on the ground got abandoned by the people talking about them here. Now a second student steps up, and this one isn't asking about theology. She came with his Twitter feed.
Yasmin Yunus. I am a junior here at Boston University. I'm also a Muslim and also an Iraqi American. I just have a really quick question for you. So on June 10th, 2013, you tweeted, "Bill Cosby said we should be more like Muslims. You mean honor killings, beheadings, suicide bombings? Hope you're kidding, sir." I was just wondering, what makes you think that I, a young Muslim without a violent background, is more likely to commit an act of terror or violence than you, a man who spews hate speech, slanders my religion and my people, and admitted to using improper, unlawful, and downright disgusting interrogation tactics during your time in my home country, Iraq, which violated Articles 128 and 134 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice?
Yep, and I got...
That's the loudest the room gets all night. Yasmin Yunus reads a 2013 tweet about Bill Cosby, then asks why she's more dangerous than he is. She calls him a hate speech peddler. She cites 2 articles of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. The applause is enormous. It's also a question built entirely on his character, not his argument. She never touches the claim about abrogation. Watch what he does with it.
And I paid a fine of $5,000, and I retired from the United States military. Let me tell you something. When I have a responsibility for the lives of 600 soldiers under my care, I'm going to do what is necessary without hurting anyone else severely to make sure that my men come back to their husband, to their wives, to their children. Because when I stood before all of their families in that pre-deployment brief, I made that promise. And I don't run around talking about being proud of what I did. But if I had to do it again, I would. And if I had to take an action to save you, I would as well. So that's what I want you to understand. And maybe one day you get to grow up and you be a combat commander and you have lives that you're in charge of.
No flinch. He confirms the fine, confirms the retirement, and then explains exactly why. 600 soldiers, a pre-deployment brief, a promise made to their families. He doesn't hide behind lawyers, and he doesn't apologize. He says he'd do it again, and he'd do it for her too. You cannot say he dodged it. Compare that to every politician who would have talked around it for 5 minutes.
Now let's talk about the other things. I want you to stand up. I want you to fight. We've got this thing going on right now in the United States of America about female genital mutilation. I want to see more people stand up and speak out against that. We got a young lady by the name of Linda Sarsour who has talked about female genital mutilation and also Sharia law. But yet she's getting an invitation to go give a commencement address. I don't think we should be rewarding people that have those type of beliefs. But yet we have a person like Ayan Hirsi Ali that we don't allow to go on college campuses and speak. So yes, I'm going to kind of put my finger in your chest, and I want you to stand up and I want you to fight. And I want you to start joining with us to correct the things that, as you are saying, is perverting your religion.
And now he goes on offense. Female genital mutilation prosecuted in the United States, and West wants to know who's speaking against it. He names Linda Sarsour, invited to give a commencement address. He names Ayan Hirsi Ali, disinvited from campuses. That contrast is the sharpest thing he says all night. One speaker gets a stage, the other gets a protest. Neither student answers it. Watch how he finishes.
Well, then let's find out how we can keep this from continuing on and happening. I don't want to see another Fort Hood. That was my last duty station. The fact that I live in a country where government still calls that workplace violence, that's disgusting to me. The fact that we have San Bernardino, Orlando, the fact that you had what happened here in Boston, and we had a magazine that put that person on the front cover. I don't want that to happen, and you should be speaking out about that as well. So you can be upset about some of the things that I say, but I'm going to continue to say it because you know something, I do have a right.
2 students came prepared. One brought historical documents. The other brought a decade of tweets. Neither of them got Alan West to take a single word back. He ended where he started, on a list nobody in that hall wanted to discuss. Fort Hood, still officially called workplace violence, San Bernardino, Orlando, and a bomber from their own city on a magazine cover. Rashid asked him to define a religion. Eunice asked him to defend his record. West asked them both to stand up and fight alongside him, and he never got an answer to that. Do you think West made his case, or did the students expose something he couldn't defend? Drop your thoughts in the comments.